Welcome back to our channel. Today is a beautiful, thrilling day to dive into the absolute most explosive drama Los Angeles has to offer. We have a massive, game-changing update for you today, so grab your favorite drink, settle into your seat, and let us get straight to the scandalous corporate warfare that is currently rocking the daytime fashion world. The cameras were rolling, the studio lights were blindingly bright, and the corporate trap was perfectly, flawlessly set. What was meticulously designed to be Eric Forrester's triumphant, untouchable return to the absolute pinnacle of high fashion instead detonated into a catastrophic, unhinged collision of ego, bitterness, and vengeance on live television. The Forrester patriarch did not just stumble, he completely self-destructed, dragging his entire family empire down into the mud with him. This was not a simple public relations misstep. This was a corporate bloodbath broadcast in high definition to millions of viewers, and the devastating shockwaves are currently tearing the Los Angeles fashion industry apart at the seams. Forrester Creations thought they were playing it incredibly smart. In a desperate, calculated bid to avoid the relentless onslaught of media questions regarding Katie Logan's rival fashion house and Hope Logan's shocking defection, Ridge Forrester and Steffi Forrester Finnegan made a critical executive decision. They opted to launch Eric's highly anticipated new couture collection exclusively via a tightly controlled livestream. No live press. No unpredictable influencers in the front row. Just a sterile, heavily managed digital runway. It was supposed to be a foolproof strategy to keep the narrative strictly focused on the clothes. But then, in a moment of sheer hubris, the Forrester executives decided to allow Eric to sit for just one single, supposedly vetted interview. That singular decision will go down in the history of Forrester Creations as an unmitigated, apocalyptic disaster. The atmosphere in the studio shifted the moment the reporter opened his mouth. Instead of tossing soft, complimentary questions about the fabrics and the silhouettes, the journalist relentlessly prodded Eric about the elephant in the room, Logan Designs. You could actually see the physical tension seizing Eric's body. His face flushed a deep, angry crimson. He became visibly flustered, his composure shattering piece by piece under the bright studio lights. And then, the dam broke. Eric Forrester threw what can only be described as a venomous, senior citizen temper tantrum. He leaned into the microphone and unleashed a torrent of unhinged fury. He spat that Katie Logan used to be a kind, decent woman, but now she was nothing more than a ruthless opportunist who had maliciously stolen Hope away from her rightful place at Forrester. Eric's voice rose to a frantic, furious shout as he declared that Logan had stolen Forrester's thunder. He did not stop there. The patriarch looked directly into the camera lens and screamed the word that will haunt his legacy forever: thievery. He branded the entire Logan enterprise as a pack of thieves. He wildly blamed Bill Spencer for bankrolling the betrayal. He even took a vicious, unprovoked shot at young Will Spencer, sneering that the boy was exactly like his ruthless father. Eric looked completely unhinged, a man entirely out of control of his own mind and his own company. Backstage, the scene was one of absolute, paralyzing horror. Ridge and Steffi stood frozen, their eyes wide with disbelief as they watched the patriarch torch their corporate reputation in real time. The sheer panic that washed over Ridge's face was palpable. He sprinted across the studio floor, his heart pounding in his chest, and physically grabbed his father. Ridge had to literally drag a shouting, red-faced Eric away from the microphone, the screech of audio feedback echoing through the broadcast as the feed was abruptly and awkwardly cut. But the desperate intervention was entirely too late. The damage was irreparably, permanently done. The clip was already clipping. The internet was already reacting. Across town, inside the sleek, panoramic offices of Spencer Publications, the reaction was a stark, jarring contrast. Bill Spencer was absolutely, unapologetically gleeful. While the Forrester executives were hyperventilating into paper bags, Bill was practically popping champagne. Dollar Bill soaked in every single second of Eric's meltdown, laughing uproariously at the screen. To Bill, Eric's furious repetition of the word Logan was the greatest gift Forrester Creations could have ever handed him. It was millions of dollars in free, primetime publicity. Bill thrives in the chaos of corporate warfare, and Eric had just handed him the ultimate weapon on a silver platter. However, the mood was not entirely celebratory in the Spencer camp.
Hope Logan, demonstrating a newfound, icy resilience, took the vicious insults completely in stride, brushing off Eric's rant as the desperate flailing of a defeated man.
But Katie Logan was thoroughly devastated.
Watching the man she once deeply respected drag her name through the mud, painting her as a tacky, manipulative thief, left her profoundly humiliated. She felt the sting of the betrayal in her bones. Will Spencer, already simmering with a dangerous, explosive rage from his recent physical altercations, was deeply bothered by the public attack on his character and his mother's honor. The Spencer men are not known for letting insults slide, and Eric's words have just painted a massive target on his own back. The immediate fallout is manifesting in a brutal, merciless digital war. Bill is currently showing a horrified Katie exactly how fast the internet moves. Eric Forrester's meltdown has gone aggressively viral. The public is ruthlessly turning Eric into a series of mocking, humiliating memes. While Katie might feel the sting of the accusations, the broader public sentiment has swung violently in her favor. The internet loves an underdog, and Eric's arrogant, screaming tirade perfectly cast Katie and Logan designs as the plucky victims of a massive, bullying corporate monopoly. The public is officially Team Logan. They view Eric as a bitter, out-of-touch dinosaur who has completely lost his grip on reality. Forrester Creations is now staring down the barrel of a catastrophic public relations nightmare, and they are entirely unequipped to handle it. Fans and industry insiders alike are loudly pointing out that Ridge made a monumental, fatal mistake by bringing Eric back from retirement. If Eric had not initially defected to Logan, Ridge would never have been pressured to reinstate him. Now, that desperate attempt to save face has blown up spectacularly. Worse still, Forrester is flying completely blind in the PR department. They do not have Katie's brilliant spin doctoring anymore, and the outside firm that Brooke and Ridge supposedly hired to replace her is nowhere to be found. Eric desperately needed media training before stepping in front of that camera, and the failure to provide it falls squarely on Ridge and Steffi's shoulders. But the crisis extends far beyond viral memes and bruised egos. This is rapidly evolving into a devastating financial ruin for Forrester Creations. The absolute most shocking aspect of the couture launch was not Eric's meltdown, but the clothes themselves. After all the hype, all the secrecy, and all the staggering financial investment, Eric's designs were shockingly lackluster. The collection was entirely monochromatic, painfully old-fashioned, and deeply uninspired. It lacked any of the innovative spark or modern edge that the fashion world demands. It seemed almost intentionally dull, a far cry from the vibrant, show-stopping work he previously produced for Logan. This creative failure is compounded by a terrifying financial reality. This was the single most expensive collection Forrester Creations has ever produced. They poured millions into the fabrics, the production, and the marketing, banking entirely on Eric's legendary name to secure massive orders. But with the designs falling flat and the designer becoming a public laughingstock, the buyers are pulling back. Carter Walton, the company's voice of financial reason, had explicitly warned the family about the steep, dangerous costs associated with this launch. Now, his worst fears are materializing. Sales are projected to be catastrophically lower than expected. The reputational damage from the interview is directly poisoning the financial viability of the line. Forrester Creations is hurtling toward a massive, unprecedented financial crisis. Furthermore, Eric's unhinged behavior has ripped the lid off a much darker narrative surrounding the company. The fashion press and the public are now aggressively questioning the deeply toxic corporate culture at Forrester Creations. The pattern is impossible to ignore. Katie Logan felt entirely devalued and was pushed out. Eric Forrester was forcibly and humiliatingly retired by his own son, only to be dragged back in a desperate power play. Hope Logan, the golden child of the brand, felt so disrespected that she secretly walked away to join the competition. Carter Walton had previously warned the executives that nasty rumors were circulating about their working conditions. Eric's on-camera explosion just provided the smoking gun. The public is openly wondering if the toxic, high-pressure environment at Forrester is what finally broke Eric's mind. While Forrester Creations burns, Logan Designs is preparing to salt the earth. Katie, Hope, and Bill are more determined than ever to absolutely crush their rivals. The Spencer war machine is officially mobilizing. Hope is already aggressively moving forward, starting work on her highly anticipated new collection with the newly hired Deke Sharp. Shauna Fulton and Wyatt Spencer are working overtime to build a glittering, lucrative jewelry empire under the Logan banner. And Will Spencer, having survived the brutal physical fallout of his fight with RJ and his accidental punch to Eric at the bikini bar, is ready to stop pouting over his fractured romance with Elektra. He is channeling his explosive anger into his new corporate role, ready to systematically target and dismantle the Forrester legacy. Logan Designs is thriving, but they are hungry for more blood. The massive wave of free publicity generated by Eric's meltdown is acting as a beacon, potentially bringing top-tier design talent knocking at Katie's door. The most dangerous rumor currently circulating is that Logan might successfully poach Zend Forrester Dominguez. Zend has been a long-suffering victim of Forrester's toxic culture. His designs have been repeatedly shelved, his ambitions stifled, and he has been humiliatingly forced to work under the less experienced RJ Forrester. If Zend decides to abandon the sinking ship that is Forrester Creations, it would be the ultimate, devastating betrayal. Desperation breeds ruthless tactics, and Forrester Creations is preparing to fight back with everything they have. They are absolutely desperate to push a new line into the market to erase the stench of Eric's disastrous interview. The current strategy being whispered in the executive suites is incredibly vindictive. Ridge and Steffi are reportedly planning to take the brilliant and used designs that Thomas and Zend created for Hope for the Future and completely rebrand them. They want to launch the stolen collection strictly under Steffi's name. It is a calculated, vicious move designed specifically to burn Hope and humiliate her for defecting. Furthermore, Forrester is planning to weaponize their release schedule, timing their next massive launch to directly clash with and sabotage Katie's upcoming Logan event. The runway has transformed into a battlefield, and the casualties are piling up. Next, the walls of Dr. Lee Finnegan's sterile hospital office felt like a closing vice. Daphne sat on the edge of the examination table, her hands trembling as the cold reality of her test results hung in the air. This was not supposed to happen. This was supposed to be the beginning of a beautiful new chapter. Instead, Lee delivered a crushing, life-altering blow. Premature menopause. The words echoed in the quiet room like a death knell for Daphne's greatest dream. The odds of her ever carrying a child were suddenly, violently erased. Daphne sat in stunned silence. The air rushed out of her lungs. The vibrant, hopeful future she had painted with Carter vanished in a single heartbeat. Then, the tears came. Hot, heavy, and unstoppable. Her mind did not immediately go to her own loss, though the grief was profound. Her mind raced straight to one person. Carter. The man who had waited his entire life for a family. The man she had promised to give a child to. That promise now haunts her every waking moment. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees Carter's hopeful smile. She sees the way he looks at children, the way he has always yearned for a legacy of his own. Daphne fears she has failed the man she loves more than life itself. That guilt runs deep, poisoning her joy and casting a massive, suffocating shadow over their newlywed bliss. She never once doubted her own immense desire for a baby. Daphne wanted this just as badly. But her sorrow keeps circling back to Carter's shattered dream. He is the Honorable Forrester COO. He is the man who always does the right thing. He is the man who has stood at the altar time and time again, only to have his heart broken. Now, Daphne feels like she is the one breaking it, not out of malice, but out of a cruel twist of biological fate. Carter Walton has chased the whole package for years. A devoted wife. A beautiful child. A home filled with laughter and love. He proposed marriage again and again, long before Daphne ever entered his life, desperately searching for the missing piece of his soul. Family always sat at the absolute center of his plans. It was never a passing whim. It was his ultimate endgame. Fans have watched this intense desire build for seasons now. Carter has been the ultimate gentleman, the loyal friend, the brilliant legal mind. But beneath that polished exterior lies a long-buried hunger for a family that is about to push him past every conceivable limit. He did not marry Daphne just to gain a child. He married her heart, her spirit, and everything she carries within it. He loves her fiercely. But the pain of a lost future could break something loose in him. A desperate man sometimes makes the worst decisions of his life. And Carter Walton is about to become a very desperate man. When Daphne finally breaks the devastating news to him, the grief will threaten to drown them both. But while Daphne may lean toward traditional surrogacy or explore the lengthy, grueling process of adoption, Carter might choose a far darker path. Soap fans have not seen a devious, underground baby plot in quite a while, but this show loves to revisit dark, dangerous territory. We are predicting a massive, scandalous twist. Carter's brilliant legal mind could tempt him toward something highly illegal. He knows the law inside and out. He knows the loopholes. He knows where the system fails and how to manipulate it. And that knowledge is about to become a very dangerous weapon. What if Carter spots a legal loophole that most people would never even notice? What if an unplanned baby, lost in the chaotic shuffle of the system, becomes the spark for his total unraveling? Carter could easily dress up a lie, using his immense power and resources to bypass the legal adoption process. He could orchestrate a shadow adoption, paying off the right people, forging the necessary documents, and handing Daphne a miracle. We have seen this kind of treachery before. Jack Finnegan once pulled off a massive deception to bring Finn into his family, hiding the truth from everyone, including his own wife. Carter could walk down that exact same treacherous road. He could present this child to Daphne as a legitimate adoption, a miraculous fast track through the system, hiding the dark, criminal reality of how he actually obtained the baby. Carter has slipped on legal matters before. He has crossed ethical lines when his heart was on the line. That history worries longtime viewers who know exactly what he is capable of when pushed into a corner. A stolen child, or an illegally acquired baby, could hand Daphne everything she desperately wants. It could instantly erase her tears and heal her broken heart. But it would destroy Carter completely. Prison bars do not care about good intentions. The law does not care about broken hearts. One reckless, illegal choice could end his freedom for good. If Carter crosses this line, he is risking everything. His prestigious career at Forrester Creations. His immaculate reputation. His freedom. And most importantly, his marriage to the woman he is doing all of this for. Imagine the sheer terror of living with a secret of this magnitude. Every knock on the door. Every phone call from a blocked number. Carter would be living on a knife's edge, knowing that if the truth ever comes out, he will lose Daphne forever. Daphne is a woman of deep integrity. If she discovers that the baby she has fallen in love with was brought into their home through fraud, deceit, and criminal acts, she will never forgive him. The fallout would be apocalyptic. The Forrester family would be dragged into a massive legal scandal. Ridge and Steffi would be forced to fire their most trusted confidant. The media would have a field day with the disgraced Forrester COO. And Carter Walton would be left with nothing but the ashes of the life he tried so desperately to build. This is the ultimate test of love and morality. How far would you go to heal the heart of the person you love? Would you break the law? Would you risk your own freedom? Carter is staring down the barrel of that exact dilemma. The man who has spent his entire career upholding the law is about to shatter it into a million pieces. The tension is already building. The moment Lee Finnegan delivered that diagnosis, the countdown began. Daphne's tears are the catalyst. Carter's desperation is the fuel. And the impending crime is the explosion that will rock Los Angeles to its very core. Nobody is ready for the dark turn Carter Walton is about to take. We are bracing for a storyline filled with secret meetings, forged signatures, burner phones, and heart-stopping close calls. Carter will have to use every ounce of his legal brilliance to cover his tracks. But in the world of soap operas, the truth always, inevitably, comes out. The only question is how much collateral damage there will be when the bomb finally drops.
Will Carter's desperate gamble pay off, or will it blow up in his face and send him straight to a prison cell? Will Daphne's maternal desperation blind her to the red flags, or will she uncover her husband's treacherous lies before it is too late? The stakes have literally never been higher. A family built on a foundation of criminal lies is destined to collapse, and we are about to watch it happen in real time. Let's rewind to the exact moment Daphne has to walk through the front door of their beautiful home, carrying the heaviest secret of her life. She turns the key in the lock, her hands shaking, her eyes red and swollen from hours of crying in her car. Carter is there, waiting. He has prepared a romantic dinner. He is smiling, completely oblivious to the fact that their world has just been violently ripped apart. The juxtaposition of his pure, hopeful joy and her crushing, suffocating despair is going to be one of the most heartbreaking scenes of the year. When Daphne finally forces the words out of her mouth, the air will be sucked straight out of the room. Premature menopause. Infertile. No biological children. Watch Carter's face closely. Watch the brilliant, composed lawyer completely shatter. He will try to hold it together for her. He will pull her into his arms, stroke her hair, and whisper that it doesn't matter, that they have each other, that their love is enough. But behind his eyes, a desperate, frantic panic will begin to take root. Carter is a fixer. It is in his blood. When Forrester Creations faces a lawsuit, Carter fixes it. When Ridge and Brooke need legal miracles, Carter delivers. He is not a man who accepts defeat. He is a man who finds a way. And when he realizes that biology has defeated him, he will turn to the only weapon he has left, his mastery of the system. He will not allow Daphne to suffer. He will not allow their dream to die. He will fix it, no matter the cost. This is where the psychological thriller aspect of this storyline kicks into high gear. Carter will start staying late at the office. Not to review Forrester contracts, but to scour the dark corners of the adoption system. He knows the agonizing wait times of legal adoption. He knows the invasive background checks, the endless red tape, the years of hoping and praying that might end in heartbreak. He refuses to put Daphne through that torture. He wants a baby now. Enter the shadow brokers. Los Angeles is a city of secrets, and Carter has the money, the influence, and the legal savvy to navigate its darkest underbelly. He might reach out to a shady contact from his past, someone who operates just outside the boundaries of the law. A private facilitator who promises a fast, untraceable adoption for the right price. Carter will convince himself that he is doing a noble thing. He will rationalize the crime, telling himself that he is rescuing a child who needs a home and giving his wife the ultimate gift. But the mechanics of this crime will require absolute, terrifying precision. Carter will have to forge medical records. He will have to fabricate a paper trail that can withstand the scrutiny of the state. He will have to lie to the courts, to the social workers, and most devastatingly, to Daphne. He will come to her with a miraculous story. A young mother in distress, a private legal arrangement, a fast-tracked adoption that just happened to fall into his lap because of his connections. Daphne, blinded by her overwhelming grief and sudden, blinding hope, might not ask the hard questions. She wants to believe in the miracle. She wants to hold that baby in her arms. When Carter walks through the door with a newborn, the joy will be intoxicating. The nursery they built will finally be filled with life. But the foundation of that nursery will be built on a ticking legal time bomb. The parallels to past Forrester scandals are impossible to ignore. We all remember the catastrophic fallout when Steffi unknowingly adopted baby Beth, believing she was adopting a child named Phoebe through a private, rushed arrangement. The destruction that followed tore families apart. Carter had a front-row seat to that exact nightmare, yet his desperation is blinding him to the lessons of the past. He thinks he is smarter. He thinks he can control the narrative. He is dead wrong. What happens when the biological family comes looking for the child? What happens when a greedy facilitator decides to blackmail the wealthy Forrester COO for millions of dollars? Carter will be trapped in a vicious, escalating cycle of extortion and deceit.
He will have to embezzle funds, manipulate Forrester accounts, or drain his own life savings to keep the blackmailer quiet. The web of lies will grow so massive, so tangled, that Carter will inevitably choke on it.
And let us not forget the wild card in this scenario, Ridge Forrester. Ridge relies on Carter for everything.
But Ridge is also fiercely protective of his company's reputation. If Ridge catches wind of Carter's erratic behavior, the late nights, the missing funds, or the shady phone calls, he will investigate. Imagine the sheer, explosive confrontation when Ridge discovers that his best friend, his moral compass, has committed a massive felony right under his nose.
The dramatic stakes are astronomical. Carter is not just risking a slap on the wrist.
He is risking federal charges.
Fraud. Kidnapping by deception. Forgery. The list of potential felonies is staggering. We are talking about a man who could spend the next 20 years in a maximum security prison. The visual of Carter Walton, stripped of his tailored suits, wearing a prison jumpsuit, is a terrifying and very real possibility. And then there is Daphne. The ultimate victim in Carter's twisted crusade for love. When the police inevitably knock on their door, when the truth is dragged into the harsh light of day, Daphne will be utterly destroyed. The baby she has bonded with, the child she has loved as her own, will be ripped from her arms by the state. She will lose her child, her husband, and her entire future in one single, catastrophic day. Carter's long-buried hunger for a family is the fatal flaw of a tragic hero. He is a good man making a horrific, unforgivable choice out of pure, blinding love. It is the ultimate soap opera tragedy. The higher he climbs to secure this illegal miracle, the harder and faster he is going to fall. The writers are setting the stage for a dramatic masterpiece, a storyline that will dominate the ratings and leave fans screaming at their televisions. Every single episode from here on out is going to be a masterclass in suspense. Will Carter actually sign his name on the forged documents? Will he hand over the briefcase full of cash? Will he look Daphne in the eyes and tell the biggest lie of his life? The descent into darkness is happening, and there is no turning back. Let's also consider the role of Dr. Lee Finnegan in this impending disaster. Lee is a brilliant, no-nonsense physician. She delivered the diagnosis, and she knows exactly how devastated Daphne is. If Carter suddenly produces a baby out of thin air with a sketchy medical background, Lee's sharp instincts are going to flare up. Lee is fiercely protective of the law and medical ethics, especially after the trauma she endured with Sheila Carter. She will not turn a blind eye to medical inconsistencies. If Lee starts digging into the hospital records or the adoption paperwork, Carter will have a formidable enemy on his hands. Lee cannot be bought, and she cannot be intimidated. The cat-and-mouse game between a desperate, cornered Carter Walton and a suspicious, relentless Lee Finnegan would be absolute television gold. Carter would have to use every dirty legal trick in the book to throw her off the scent, further compromising his already shattered morals. The psychological toll on Carter himself will be a fascinating, horrifying journey to watch. He is a man who prides himself on his integrity. Living a double life will slowly eat him alive. Fans will watch him jump at every shadow, sweat through every board meeting, and lie awake staring at the ceiling while Daphne peacefully rocks their stolen child to sleep. The guilt will be a heavy, suffocating blanket. He will have given his wife the world, but he will have lost his own soul in the process. This storyline is a brilliant, dark subversion of everything we know about Carter Walton. For years, he has been the voice of reason, the man who pulls Ridge back from the edge, the man who mediates the bitter Forrester and Logan feuds. Now, he is the one diving headfirst into the abyss. It proves that no one in Los Angeles is immune to the corrupting power of desperate love. The writers are giving us a Shakespearean tragedy wrapped in a high-fashion, high-stakes soap opera package. The inevitable climax, the moment the police arrive, the moment the baby is taken away, the moment Daphne looks at Carter with pure, unadulterated horror, will be etched into the history of the bold and the beautiful forever. We are witnessing the slow-motion destruction of a titan. So, buckle up, BNB fans. The tears have only just begun, and the darkest chapters of this story are waiting just around the corner.
Carter Walton is about to cross the point of no return, and the explosion will leave no survivors.
Will Carter's desperate crime destroy his marriage and land him in prison, or can he pull off the impossible? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below and subscribe for more shocking updates.